Hello, I'm Angela.
And I'm Marie, the second half of this mother and daughter team.
Welcome to Chakra Checkups.
We're here to guide you on your quest for spiritual knowledge and enlightenment.
All right, we're back.
We are definitely back.
I know that you all were missing us quite a bit by the voice messages that we got being like, are you guys okay? We miss hearing from you. So we are back. We just had a lot going on. First off, by moving Mom down from Oregon to Mexico.
Yes, I'm here in Mexico. Woohoo!
So she got to fly down and hang out in this cozy house and
pool.
And I got to be the one to fly up to do the long, enormous road trip down. So
my car thanks you. I thank you.
The car thanks me. Oh my gosh. I don't think the car liked me very much at all with the way that I drove it, but we're all down here now, so that's great. Other things of note, we have been podcasting for 1 year now.
It's our podiversary. We have had, as of today, the number varies a little bit, but 14,263 listens. I figured that out. If I had to talk for 1 hour to each of these people that listen to our podcast, it would take me 39 years. So you guys out there, you saved me 38 years by by listening to the podcast.
Listening, sharing, talking about it with your friends. We thank you guys so much for listening. And we hope that you keep sharing the good work out there with everybody and try to help a lot of people.
We'll definitely keep making podcasts.
Yeah. With shorter breaks in between next time, hopefully.
But it took some time to get me to Mexico, logistics and all, but it is amazing here. Everyone that I talked to in Oregon would say, oh my God, it's so dangerous there. How long has your daughter been there? She's still alive?
Yeah.
I think the biggest danger of Mexico is that you're going to fall in love with this place and never want to go back to the United States.
I mean, that's what happened to me. I moved down just to see what it was like to live somewhere outside of the US for a little bit. And I kept meeting the nicest people I've ever met. And the community just totally won my heart over. And I never wanted to leave. So, what was supposed to be a 5-month summer abroad turned into 7 years with the roots in.
What do I love about Mexico so far is epic sunsets. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place to live. The air is so clear. It's just amazing. There's very little traffic, especially when it's raining. The roads turn into little rivers. But the food is amazing here. I'm loving the food. Angie's been taking me around to some of these epic restaurants, and
we're doing the taco tour.
The taco tour. Big shout out to Barracuda and Pacifica
Fish Market. Yep.
Both of those have awesome tacos, shrimp and fish tacos, sweet potato tacos, just amazing. Smoked fish quesadillas, just incredible food, and less expensive than in the United States. So that's another plus.
Yeah, the inflation you said before you moved up was just getting insane, especially when you were living in a small town in Oregon, that it was just getting incredibly expensive to even buy groceries.
Oh yeah.
So
here everything is less expensive, and it's just really, really nice quality. And the people here, I don't know, when you're in a restaurant, many restaurants I've been in, people are kind of grumpy in the States, and here it just seems like they're all of these entrepreneurial businesses with people that are so happy to be working and have their little business and provide excellent quality products. So uplifting just to go and sit and eat in one of these places or deal with some of the little local merchants. It's amazing.
Mhm. Well, they're a fast spider and they're a jumping spider. So they can literally run faster than I can across a room.
And they're they're big.
And they're very large. So when I first moved in, I was like, oh my God, there's no way that I can have these guys in my house. But then as I would try to kill them, they're incredibly hard to catch or kill or squat because they're so fast with very high reflexes. So, but mom is not quite there yet, I
Well,
think.
I'm working on it. I did not kill one this morning, but it was a very large spider. And twice now, when I was reaching for my files for my chakra checkups, one leaped out of my files, and I wasn't really thrilled about that. So I've been sleeping with the light on, so when I get up, I don't step on one of these critters in the middle of the night.
Hmm.
The other thing we have here in Mexico is more types of scorpions, I guess, than anywhere else in the world. And we have had more than one type in the house almost once a day. So we're trying to learn to be friends with those, but that's not working too well. I'm a bad Buddhist. I am probably going to come back as a scorpion because I've been killing those guys. But that aside, it's really amazing here.
Yeah. We did a little outing and I took her up into the mountains where there's a wonderful museum that has a lot of the history of Baja in it. And one of my favorite facts that comes from that museum is that in 1533, Spanish explorers heard stories from the Aztecs of an island rumored to be rich in minerals and ruled by Amazon women, which I think is still kind of accurate to today because I see a lot more successful, entrepreneurial, strong, independent women in this area than there are men. And so I think that's interesting that back in the day they thought that this was an island rich with Amazonian warrior women.
I don't know about the Amazonian part, but I imagine some of these women do have warrior spirits. They're certainly hardworking.
Yeah. Anyways, on the drive up into the mountains, you were looking out on the desert landscape and looking at the giant cardone cactus, and you said something that I thought was really interesting.
Well, I've been around the giant redwoods. I lived not too far from them, so I was able to go down, sometimes spend a night sleeping up against one. And the redwoods have these incredible plant diva spirits in them that are like a grandfather in a way, and will literally sort of wrap around you. And we started setting up against one and fell asleep and spent the whole night and just woke up in incredible space. So they have this great energy. And when I started driving through the desert with Angie, looking at the cardones, actually the really large ones, have an energy I think more profound than the redwoods, the giant redwoods. It's the best way I can describe it. It's very majestic. There's this like wise man or wise wizard energy about them. And one of the main differences I realized is that the cardone actually reaches out to you.
Hmm.
So when not every single plant, but the older plants, they seem to have a spiritual presence that's strong enough that they can extend out to someone who is conscious of them. And
Hmm.
I can feel it when we're driving by from certain individuals of the larger sizes. It's really really quite incredible. And I find myself wondering, I should meditate on them and see what more they want to say or are trying to get across, because it's like being amongst hundreds of sentient beings that have a great deal of wisdom and have probably been on the planet for, I don't know, 400 to 600 years. These large
Hmm.
ones are estimated to be very very old.
Yeah, I heard that they only grow about an inch per offshoot per year or something, and these some of them can grow up to be like 30 feet tall. And so, yeah, they estimate them to be like 4 to 600 years old, the big ones.
Yeah, and yeah, they're quite amazing. So when you are in Mexico, slow down and drive by slowly or stop and just breathe and see if you can't feel what's being offered by this incredible tree or plant. I don't know which it's considered. They're bigger than a lot of trees, but uh, there really definitely is something there. It reminded me of when I was in Brazil with Bashinia, and she would driving along. She was looking out the window and she started crying. And I asked her, "Why are you crying?" And she said, "Because I can't sing the song of every plant
Mm.
that I go by, but they want me to." And it's a bit how I felt with the Cardone. They wanting to express something. They're wanting it to be received, and I could feel it. So that was just amazing for me. I love the look of cactus, and I although I always manage to kill mine, but once I bring them inside, but I'm definitely a cactus lover anyway. So that's something to check out.
That's probably something to check out anytime you do travel or experience a new environment, is to take a moment of peace and rest and connect with an environment that you aren't used to.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Mother Nature is very strong, and there are many, many aspects to nature. There are plant divas, there are elementals, there are angels that are overseeing some of the plant divas and some of the elements of nature. And much of this can be responsive to you. That's a possibility. Something to work on a little bit. We had a hurricane. We survived a hurricane.
Mom's first hurricane, yep.
And
And
it
it
actually
it
was a
looked like it could have been a doozy, but ended up not being that bad here. But unfortunately, it does look like there's quite a bit of damage to one of the other bigger cities nearby. I think our area has a high spiritual amount of people in here. So I have seen quite a few storms, and people will joke about all of the town must have smudged and sent us sent the storms away from our area.
said they've all practiced being with the energy of the hurricane instead of tensing against it. It must have helped because it would whip up and then it would calm down again. We had a tremendous amount of rain, and we had the inconvenience of electricity going off and on, the water off and on, all of this sort of thing. But basically, it was really beautiful to see all of those elements of nature banging around against each other, and with all the plants and everything else. There's a tremendous amount of elemental energy in a hurricane.
Hmm. Yeah, going by the beach and seeing the massive waves crash on shore and stuff, it's always a reminder to me how small we are and how much bigger the world and the elements are.
Yeah, there was water pouring into the area where we parked more than we realized. We parked quite a ways away from everything, came back to two wheels in the water and several cars that were in 2 or 3 feet of water. It happened very, very fast.
Hmm.
But there's no reason not to think that you could not favorably influence an elemental like in a hurricane, which is a combination of several: water, wind, the air, all of these different elements, electricity, the lightning. It is possible to influence this in a way that could not harm your town or not harm your house or
Let's back up, because how many elementals are there? Because I would have assumed that it would have just been water, fire, earth,
an
and
air.
air.
Right.
But now you're talking about electricity.
Well, that's energy,
It's energy.
and that's all energy is connected to an energetic being.
Okay. So is there other elementals of note that we might not immediately think of?
Well, I don't know for sure. I've worked with some elementals, and of course, everyone talks about the basic, four, but it's hard to know. There are all I know that there are all these divisions in nature in terms of almost like a hierarchy in terms of authority over different things or influence over different things. But I certainly haven't seen a flow chart or anything laying it all out. I would like to have more information about that. Some people say that working with, once you can harness, if you can, I doubt this, but elementals that you can, you have sort of the ultimate power, but I haven't found them to be that cooperative with people,
Nor that interested in
no,
working with people.
nor that interested. But that doesn't mean that as a group, if we're respectful and we wish to not be have our house torn apart by a hurricane, that we couldn't influence that and the angels that are around that to move something away or keep it from creating the ultimate damage. I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility at all.
With things like hurricanes and large winter storms and stuff, do you think that is easier to positively influence the outcome in smaller groups, like smaller towns compared to these big cities where maybe the more thought form is a general panic and we're going to die attitude? Do you think because of some of those thought forms, the storm might be worse in those areas?
Well, there's probably more resistance against having a storm. Anything you're fearing, you're attracting. And you do have, let's say you had 30 people in our little town meditating, and it's a small population. So that is a bigger piece of influence than if that same 30 people were in New York City.
Right.
There'd be so many thoughts in general and all kinds of tumultuous energy that it's harder to project that energy with the same amount of power that you would have in a less populated area.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why oftentimes monasteries and things are removed from populated areas and they're a little bit more offset, out in the country or up on a mountain or something, because they want to be able to project and develop spiritual energy around without too much conflict with the thoughts of the general humanity in the city.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And I just had a thought, and I'm not sure why it's popping into my head right now, but I remember you telling me that there was like an angel that came and made all of these children hold hands in a circle during the bomb of Hiroshima.
Yes, I had a friend that she was very good friends with one of these women. There was like a school or an orphanage. I'm not really sure which it was, but there were these children without parents as this attack was coming, and this woman, she was quite old when my friend met her, and my friend was in her late 70s. But she said this woman said that this she was 5 or 6, and a lady just appeared, came, walked up to them, and said, "Come with me, children. Let's hold hands. We're going to sing a song," and started to sing the song. And the bomb dropped very, very close to them. They were pretty much at ground zero, but they were basically untouched. They didn't even get dusty. They finished their song. They were completely clean. That woman walked them out of there, and then she disappeared.
Yeah, that gives me chills.
I know, and none of them got diseases. They didn't get cancer. They didn't have radiation poisoning or anything, and it definitely changed their life
Well, yeah, I
forever. I
mean, that
mean,
was a very, intense and drastic and horrible event that they were right in the middle of.
so
And
it
yet they had this literal energetic force field of protection around them.
yes, it had to be an angel. It had to be an angel protecting them, and I would have loved to have met that woman, but my good friend was good friends with her. and it is quite incredible. But there's no reason something like that could not happen.
Mhm.
If for some reason there was one or more of those children, or all of them, of course, that had somehow caught the attention of the angels and were being protected, perhaps their parents, one or more of their parents, or somebody praying for them was enough to bring an angel to them. It's hard to know.
Yeah.
It's hard to know. So we are doing meditation groups now, and
Raising the vibrations of the
raising the
area.
vibration. And I noticed that we had this group here in our home, and then Angie and I did a meditation a day or so later, and it was much stronger than our average meditation might have been.
Mm.
So it makes me, again, affirms the idea that whenever you do anything in a group, it is stronger and has a lasting energy that is really positive, both on the community and the individuals, and definitely on your home. So it's can be kind of a hassle to drag everybody out and get them to respond and be there, but it's definitely worth doing.
Mhm.
And if you can get a group meditation going, or some,
I feel like even if it's a couple people, maybe you've sent this to a friend and now you guys want to try and do a lot of things, like a group of, you said 4 or 5 is still a
yeah,
good group.
yeah, it's a very good. It's much better than being totally by yourself trying to
Mhm.
meditate. Well, both are really really useful, but there is more power in the group. And if you focus, the group is all on a similar theme during the meditation, then that of course is going to multiply also, and so that can have a lot of power.
Mhm.
If you're stopping a storm, or you're simply trying to heal your town.
Mhm. On my drive down, I got the chance to stop and say hello to my good friend Malvina, who we did have on the show earlier. And she took me to Breathe Degrees, and we went to a breathwork class with the cold plunge and the hot plunge and back and forth. But what I thought was so interesting was that in the middle of San Diego, with this environment that seems more like a hot yoga, like a California hot yoga type environment, while we're all sitting in the cold plunge or the hot plunge after, everyone was talking about what they were seeing in the breathwork classes. And I thought that was very cool to be in a completely different environment and talking about spiritual things in a very different way, but everyone was very excited and upbeat and happy after have done that in a group setting, because essentially it was intense focus on your breath. You, like you had said in that episode, most of the times during breathwork classes or during a breathwork exercise, people will see things.
Quite a bit, actually. People have come out of. I've experienced that a lot. I have had breath work as part of my shamanic training when I was doing classes for shamanic training, and people come out of it and go, "Why would you need to drink ayahuasca or take plant medicine when you can have this much of an experience breathing?"
Mhm.
And it doesn't really take a lot to do. You don't have to go to a class. It helps if you do it in a pair, or maybe 4 people, and you decide to do breath work, say in an evening or an afternoon. But a really simple and powerful way to do breath work is just to have a few yoga mats so people can lay on the floor, and then do it in partners. And you have one partner is just sitting with you and kind of holding space for you and reminding you to breathe and keeping you from going to sleep.
Mhm.
And then the other person just lays down, and you take big, deep belly breaths. Just breathe in so that you feel your belly expanding, and then breathe out a good strong exhale. And you continue to do that for 45 minutes.
Mhm.
And most people, they have never done that much concentrated just breathing. For one thing, it'll oxygenate a tremendous amount of your body that probably hasn't been seeing any oxygen in a while.
Mhm.
But it will change your perspective and move you into a higher state of consciousness, and it helps to open up your third eye and connect you to your angelic beings. So it's definitely worth trying.
Be healthier or work out or experience, and yet, you know, 2/3 of the class all ended up talking about something very spiritual. So I do think it's a lot more common to than we let on, even if people are just going to and from their 9 to 5 job. So,
Well, I think we're in an age where actually spirituality is very, very important, more so than it has been in my entire life. There's something has changed, and it's sort of this is the time to wake up and start to experience yourself. And
mhm,
I think everybody's feeling that to some degree.
mhm.
And so they're reaching out more and maybe being more open to having experiences.
And I know me personally, I'm super easy to disregard anything that I'm seeing of like, oh, I don't think that I'm making that up, or maybe I'm not seeing something, or whatever. But one of my friends kind of described it in a perfect way. And what she said was, it's kind of like when you stare at the sun and then you close your eyes and you're seeing those spots drift across your eyelids. And when she had said that to you, you said, "Well, yeah, that's exactly what it's like when your third eye is starting to open."
Hmm. Yeah, you'll see things in in quick flickers, and you'll see different ghost images, and sometimes you'll feel something, and then you'll feel have a funny feeling if you're paying attention, and then you'll quickly see something. So
Mhm.
you're actually feeling that approach of that or the opening of that, and then suddenly you have this burst of sight. That can definitely happen. Yeah, and all you have to do is breathe. You don't have to go anywhere. Just breathe. You can do it by yourself, but it does take a lot of discipline to do it without a partner. Even the idea of someone just sitting there watching you tends to make you more concentrating and focusing on your energy relative to just, okay, I'm breathing, I went to sleep, you know,
Yeah. So,
because you do get relaxed.
something you can try with your partner, your roommate, your family, or whoever may live in the household with you.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll be definitely doing some of that down here. Um, I've got a whole list of things that I want to do, and so far there's no resistance from anybody to doing that. I
Mhm.
mean,
Did you think there would be?
we're running into people all over the place. They're all willing.
Which, please help my mom out. If you do end up running into her, please introduce yourself first and last name.
Right? People are saying like, I'm Mary, and I'm thinking, Mary, I've got like six Marys, which, and I don't know which ones live in Mexico. I've got like, I've done just just under 700 readings in the last.
Oh my god, I didn't realize we were up to
Yeah,
700.
and there's more than one Mary. There's more than one Jennifer. There's, a lot of names are the same. So yeah, tell me your first and last name. We had this one woman. We were in this cafe in this little mining town, and I was looking across the room, and I kept thinking, I know her, but I knew I had never seen her before. So
Mhm.
I didn't want to jump up and go over to their table. And then she came over and said, "You did a reading for me," and I thought, well, that makes sense. I recognized her energy.
Yeah. She recognized our voices and you recognized her energy.
Yeah, it's a strange way of being met that way, and it's not usual for me to be running to so many people I meet on the street,
Yeah.
in the market, in the bakery, in restaurants. They're everywhere. But actually, I think it's great. I think it's great. So we are definitely going to be doing some classes. We're going to be doing Zoom classes, and we're going to be doing local things here.
Yeah.
Um, and if you want to make sure to connect with us about that, go on the site, put yourself on the mailing list.
Yep. So, now that me and my mom are in the same place, I can finally teach her how to use some of these online programs like Zoom for
Terrifying.
large classes. Trust me, it's much easier in person than it is to have her FaceTime with me for tech things, being like, put the phone there, no, put it closer, no, put it farther away. Um, so, if you would like to hear about anything that is going to be happening or going on, we for sure will be sending out emails with all of that information at the time that we get that started. So, if you're not on the mailing list yet, go to chakracheckups.com and there should be a link at the bottom of the page to put your email in and subscribe to that mailing list.
We had some people had questions both here and also on the site that we wanted to talk about a little bit. One of the ladies in our meditation said she was nervous because she was worried about picking up negative energy.
She said, yeah, what if something big gets released? How do I stop it from getting into me?
Right. And this is something that I think a lot of this has to do with so much creepy stuff on television and on the on videos and various different things. People are a little bit over anxious about the possibility of something creepy jumping into their energy. So
Ghosts under your bed
or
and
whatever
whatever for the for,
demon attack
yeah.
or so.
Tis the season of scary movies.
So I want to talk about that for a few minutes. It is really, really unlikely if you are a person of light, like 99.9% unlikely that anything can jump into your energy. All dark energy is repelled by light.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a person that meditates, you have positive thinking, you're not running around hating anybody, there's no reason at all to fear or believe that some dark thing is going to leap into you.
Mm-hmm.
Your light is their kryptonite. It's not going to allow them. They'll run the other way. The only way that you can really attach to or attract to you a really, really dark energy is if you were doing something really horrific, like killing people or beating people up or stalking and raping them or some really dark thing. That will definitely could attach you to a demon.
Mm-hmm. But what about that on a smaller scale that, there's some energy cleaning going on in a room, someone's, released an entity and, let's say you do resonate with that energy a little bit.
Well, if you okay, let's say you went into this meditation and there were 10 or 11 people in the meditation and 5 or 6 of them are just meditating on light. That alone is going to produce a kind of bubble of light that's going to be protective. But
Like around everybody.
around everyone,
Uh-huh.
and probably beyond that, beyond the house even, it's going to just project light vibration 360. But let's say there is one or two people or three people in there that are or sick or very depressed or very angry, and one of them starts thinking about, I'm not the only one, she's also angry, I can feel it from here. Now if you've done that, then that person, when they say that I can feel that, they have crossed a line that they should not cross. They've gone into this other person's energy. And if this other person has similar anger and upset and trauma, once you project into their energy, it kind of builds a bridge or a highway right back to you, and they can dump on you.
Okay.
So the thing to do would be, if you found yourself suddenly feeling somebody's angst or energy, say, whoa, I want to stop that,
Mm-hmm.
pull my energy back. I'm not going to process this in my body. And please, angels, send her or him some extra love and attention so that they can deal with whatever they've got going on.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they can continue even after the meditation. When you go home weeks later, you could still be downloading their stuff. And it won't help them and it won't help you. So it's not a healing, it's just a negative connection that you should never have done.
Mhm. Which doesn't happen if you're just focusing on love and light
And just meditating,
and just
yes.
meditating.
Just meditating. So that could happen, but you would have some responsibility for that happening.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe then you'd learn a little bit about it and then you
I mean, is that like consciously thinking like I want to pick up that person's shit?
no, but if you're consciously feeling what other people are feeling, then you're projecting into their energy.
Okay.
No, it's interesting. When I tell somebody they're telepathic, they usually say, "Yeah, I get that," but they tend to think that nobody else is.
Right.
If
I mean, I don't think that anyone would consider themselves telepathic.
no, I think a lot of people know that they are, but they don't necessarily believe that anybody else is, and so they're projecting these thoughts or projecting into someone's field and feeling their thoughts, but they don't think that those people are projecting their thoughts or feeling what's going on. And
Yeah.
I think if you begin to have the idea or understand that all of your thoughts are things, they're like when you create a thought, it's like creating a little ghost of your own. And that little ghost could be white light or darker brown or whatever. And it's going to go right to the person that you're thinking about every single time. So be careful about what and how you're thinking and projecting. And then that's going to keep you energetically cleaner.
I want to go back to, our Halloween movie specials. Netflix right now says there's a whole selection of scary movies that you can watch. And I do know that there's a lot of that type of advertising for this, that, the other scary Halloween theme. Something like, does watching a scary movie like create dark energy into your home?
Well, here's the thing about that. Some of what is in movies is just pure imagination, doesn't exist. Some of what is in some of these scary movies, and I don't watch a lot of them, so you know, I can only imagine. But some of what's in these scary movies are things that people have seen or dreamed of from or experienced on the astral. And then the artist turned that into an animated object in a movie
Hmm.
or turn that behavior into an event in the movie. If you look at, and I experienced this a lot when I was younger, when I was trying to determine what was going on with people that had demons or very dark energy, I would look at it intently. And what I learned over time was that the more I looked at it and focused on this dark energy, that was kind of building a bridge because I was going into the energy and trying to figure out of this dark thing, be it a demon or dark thought form, whatever it is. And that's no different if you're watching television, if that representation on television is actually very, very similar or the same as an actual demon.
Hmm.
So if you focus on a darkness and that darkness is in existence somewhere, that darkness now picks up that thread of energy coming from you and comes back and starts to focus on you. If you were just light, it would not be able to see you. But now you've reached to it, you connected to it, and you joined or focused and paid attention to it. So you're kind of extending an invitation.
So even if you're watching it not thinking any of these things are real, that could happen because some might be based off of these
Real events, real dark energy.
what these producers have
Yes.
seen in dreams or nightmares or
Y-
whatever.
yes, yes. And it isn't exactly like then that thing's going to jump into your body and take you over or make you a zombie or anything like that.
Mhm.
But what it can do, I had one time when I was doing a kind of exorcism on a demon, and it just hovered around me in a way that I could feel it around me, and it kept making me sick. I'd be sick for 4 days with a headache and then I'd recover. Then I'd be sick for 4 days with a stomach ache and then I'd recover. Then I'd be sick for, my knee would hurt. It seemed like it was in 4 day increments.
Mhm.
But I had it happen enough times and then I had to go to a lot of effort to completely remove myself from this energy, which you generally do by generating tremendous amount of light, and then it could clear. So I know that there's a reality to it, and it's something that I would think carefully about. I personally think, people worry about, or they used to worry about pornography, or should that be banned. I think these really scary things should be banned. I think they're not useful for anybody. They don't.
Not something that we could just smudge after and go on with our
Well,
life
smudging
afterwards.
after definitely would help, but if you have a little kid that's staring wide-eyed at this stuff and those images are like being projected so strongly into their head, then they're thinking and thinking about them.
Mhm.
They are on this producing this pathway to that dark energy.
Okay.
And then it might start saying, oh, the kid might start saying, wow, there's something in my room, there's something coming through the wall, and be all creeped out. And that could be actually true, what is happening.
Yeah, because kids are a little bit more psychically open, right?
Yeah. And they leap around like huntsman spiders. Kids are just like all over the place energetically. They're like, oh, I'm here, I'm there. And they don't have any consciousness of it really. And a lot of times their parents don't.
Mhm.
But setting your 10-year-old or your 8-year-old or whatever in front of a scary movie is, to me, just plain batshit crazy. To put it in Halloween terms, it's just not a good idea.
Yeah. What about your run of the mill murderer gone wild type film?
Well, I think the same thing.
The same thing.
Same thing. You may not attach to the murderer, but the energy of a murderer is a real thought form energy out there.
Okay.
So you could attach to that, and then you might feel like really depressed or like really anxious, or have an anxiety attack or something.
Go. I watched that show You, and the idea is this guy is a stalker and creates an environment where he becomes part of these women's lives and then is a murderer. And I like have never felt safer than where I live, but after that I was like, there is somebody watching outside my house.
Well, and that could just be you attracted the energy, and it could come very close to you, but it was still hovering there.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's interesting. I had this Sufi woman come to me one time. Beautiful energy. She just was like an angel in white, and she had this demon, an actual demon with her. And I actually told it, you cannot be here. So it like moved about 10 feet away. And I said, no, you cannot be here. And it moved about 15 feet away. I said, you cannot be in this house. So it went outside and there was not a curtain on the window and we could see it pacing back and forth, waiting for her.
Hmm.
And so I asked her, I said, why do you have this thing with you? It doesn't make any sense. And she said, oh no, the demons are always right there and you have to fight them by staying in the light. So she actually had this belief system that she must have one in her face
Hmm.
to be strong and be light. And I suggested that
Maybe that wasn't accurate.
you don't really need the demon. You could just be in the light without having the demon in your face the whole time.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it was interesting how with all that light, she still managed to attract this thing. And when she left, it left with her.
Yeah, because that. you said most people like won't have one, so that must have been incredibly rare.
Incredibly rare. But still, it wasn't in her body and it wasn't touching her. But it was, as she said, kind of in her face, standing right in front of her.
Okay.
No. So what you're thinking and what you're mulling about in your head does make a difference in terms of your staying safe and your quality of your light. And watching something horrific on television once or even more than once can be detrimental and not necessarily something I would want my children to watch. Of course, you probably don't remember, but you never saw any TV until you were 4, and then your grandmother brought you a copy of Little Mermaid and or set you down in front of Little Mermaid, and you were like in a trance.
Mm-hmm.
On the plus side, you didn't move for 2 hours. I was like, wow, this is great. I mean, I can understand the attraction.
Which is why so many kids have their own iPads now.
Right. But you had never seen anything on TV. I made sure of it. I didn't want you to have that until you were older. Even
Yeah.
4 was early.
I mean, it's a very different time period now than when, when I grew up, the internet wasn't there still. It's a very, very unique generation to be a part of. But
Right. Our phones were like carrying around a small suitcase. So the phone we had, their first cell phone, was about more than a foot long and about 3.5 inches square, and it seemed like it weighed 10 pounds. It was really heavy.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and it cost $1 every time you connected, even if you called and hung up. Every connection was $1. It was crazy. But anyway, another question that we had a group meditation here, and some people experienced being really tired after the meditation. And other people in the group were really revved up. Actually, I had so much energy the next day, I didn't even know what to do with myself. But when you get tired after doing a meditation or a ceremony, of course, some of it could be the energy expended during the process, but mostly it comes down to a couple things. Sometimes you get tired because you are resisting. In a meditation, everybody is producing more light, more spiritual energy than they probably do on a average day. And if you're in that, it could go a bit beyond your comfortable threshold. And suddenly, like, your third eye wants to open, and suddenly there's this burst of energy which you may not totally understand or feel comfortable with. So you might resist this, and resistance can make you feel very tired.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one aspect of why you could be tired after a meditation or a group ceremony. Another reason that you could be tired is because if something was created on the angelic realm during the meditation, then sometimes the angels want you to go to sleep for a while so you can integrate that, so you can go on to the astral with them and work through the divine details and integrate what you have created.
Mm-hmm.
So, you wake up the next day and you're tired and you keep resisting it. Oh, more coffee or whatever. And you keep going and you're just tired, tired, tired. But if you just lay down and say, okay, I'm going to completely just let myself go to sleep for 45 minutes, a lot of times then you wake up and you're feeling really refreshed.
And that's because it's then finished integrating into your system, kind of
Right.
thing.
You were able to move on to the astral in enough time to integrate or process whatever you needed to do, and then that's done, and then okay, then wake up and finish your day. It sometimes that's not possible because you've got an agenda, but the more you resist it, the more difficult it is, because you're part of you is wanting to complete this, and the other part of you is trying to do whatever other things that you need to do.
Surrender, be in the light, and
Exactly.
what else do you always tell me? Is,
Well, almost all of meditation, all of mediumship is about surrender.
mhm.
It's about just letting go and trusting.
Yeah, surrender and willingness, right?
Yes, surrender, be willing, let go.
Which is incredibly difficult if you're a control freak. Like me.
I know nothing about control freakness. No. Well, I began to think after years of it being pounded into my head by my angels that why not? If I do all this prayer and all this meditation to be protected, to be to be in God's presence, to be spiritual, then why am I resisting? If I haven't built enough energy up to protect me at that point, then I probably never will. So I need to just trust that everything that I've done is working, it is there, it is light, and let go.
It's as easy as that.
Well, it's as easy as saying it because it's just an instantaneous decision, which you can say, okay, I let go. I'm going to trust that, yes, I have protection. Yes, the angels are listening. Yes, everything I've been working for is working. And I don't have to do anything in this moment.
Just be in the moment.
Just be in the moment.
I do think we have someone that called in for a question. Yeah, so here's a call in from Anna. Let's see what she has to say.
Hey Angela and Marie, my name is Anna. I just really wanted to say that your podcast about healing past lives super resonated with me. I once had a 3-night long dream, and each night it picked up where it left off, and each night I experienced a different past life, and I just want to say how much healing my own past lives, even though it was only 3 of them, um, I feel like that really helped start to heal myself a lot. And I really like the metaphor of what you said of how your soul is sometimes like a shattered crystal ball, and you're piecing all those pieces back together and calling your soul so it's whole. So thank you so much for the podcast and your insight and your knowledge. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Anna, for calling in. We are having fantastic results with people remembering their past lives and also doing soul retrieval on their past lives.
Yeah, you said recently somebody was like, I don't believe in past lives. I don't believe any of this has happened. But then you walk them through soul retrieval and instant tears.
Yes, actually, she said, I've never heard of energy before a month ago, and I'm going to be straight up with you. I think it's all bullshit. And I said, well, that's okay. Some people think there aren't molecules in the air, but it doesn't change that it's there. So we'll just proceed. And so I said, then she started talking about some issues. And I said, okay, let's just do a soul retrieval right now. And she was game enough to do it. And then she was like, that's like magic. I can't believe that. I felt that. I feel so different. It made a huge impact on her. A
Mm-hmm.
huge impact. I've talked to her since then, and she said, my whole perspective has changed. The way I see things, the way I think about my past, the way I feel, everything changed. And that's what we're trying to do is to heal your past so you're no longer only seen through the eyes of the wounded child or the molested person or the person hurling through the air as your car or truck is crashing or whatever happened to you. That can be stopped. That complex PTSD type
Mm-hmm.
behavior,
That constant anxiety or.
yeah, it can be stopped, and it can be stopped in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, well, that's like magic. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Yes, welcome to our world.
It is a bit like magic, and what a blessing. What a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now available, we have that guided meditation for soul retrieval. So please use that to your leisure as you walk yourself through those traumatic events. It's out there, free and available to everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Let's heal the world.
Let's heal the world. All right. On that note, I promise we will be back next week for sure with something new and interesting to talk about. And In the meantime, please like and share and, rate our podcast. Call in any questions. There is a link at the bottom of this podcast description. We love you all and thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening. We will be back.
We will be back. All right.